All has been consecrated. The creatures in the forest know this. The earth does, the clouds do, the seas know, as does the heart full of love. Strange that a priest should rob us of this knowledge, and then empower himself with the ability to make holy what already was. White. You find yourself in a blank white space. It's not empty, not exactly. You sense the presence of other beings behind, before, and beside you. If you squint, you can see the palest impression of shadows moving in the near distance. But some substance is obscuring your vision. It's everywhere. You are enveloped in it, and yet you barely feel it. You raise your hand in front of your face and see pale, thin, steam-like tendrils curling away from the motion of your arm's passage. You attempt to grab at them, but the tendrils slip through your grasp like you were trying to catch smoke. Suddenly, you hear a piteous moan. Whatever the substance of this space is, it muffles and obscures the source of the sound. It's coming from everywhere and from nowhere. Whoever or whatever is making this sound, it is the sound of the damned. Roll initiative.
14.
15.
2.
Emmett, what do you do?
Hearing the sound around me, can I feel anything different after hearing this, physically?
You still sense the presences that are in every direction from you, but you can't see anything through this mist.
I'm just gonna run forward, or move forward as much as I can.
You move forward through this mist, and you see something start to take shape in front of you, and it is massive. As you move towards it, Emmett has located the source of the sound. It starts to get louder. It sounds like a man, but there's something to it that sounds unnatural, and as you move towards it, this shape starts to form, and it is looming over you, and you can't quite make sense of it. It's almost like a silhouette. It's almost like you can just see the shape of it, and it looks like an inhumanly tall man, except it's not just one. It's almost like it's 3 of them with their backs smashed together, each running in a different direction, trying to pull away from each other. And each time one pulls, the other starts wailing and moaning and gnashing its teeth. And as you near it, you see this creature, whatever it is, there are eyes that open all over its body, and they look directly at you. Ofelia, what do you do?
Does it feel like I'm physically present in this place?
It almost reminds you, if Ophelia's ever dissociated, there's that kind of sense of not being present in your body, but your body does feel present in this space, standing on a surface. You don't know what it is. It's not distinct from everything else that's around you.
The wailing sound that I hear from a distance, does it sound like this person is in pain?
Yes. Terrible pain.
Ofelia is gonna take a step forward, not run, but just walk towards the sound.
As you walk towards the sound, you see the same thing that Emmett did. As you come up on this monstrous form, one of these 3 men who are bound together is facing you, and you can see him. He reaches out to you. Naya, what do you do?
Naya's gonna walk towards the sound very slowly, cautiously, walking much slower. Do I see anyone around me?
Those presences that you felt to your side disappeared briefly, but as you moved forward, you sensed yourself moving forward with them.
Fantastic.
You see the same figure looming up out of the fog, and same thing, it spots you too. It sees all of you. And you hear in the distance, it's not coming from this thing. and it becomes louder.
Where are you?
As you hear this voice searching for you, this mist starts to swirl beneath your feet, and it starts to open up. It gets sucked down almost in a whirlpool beneath this figure into just pure blackness. No light, no stars, just black. It starts pulling this monster into it. And as the monster gets drawn down into this vortex, it starts clawing out, trying to grab hold of something. And each of you get grabbed by one of the hands, and it yanks you down with it. And then you wake up. It's morning. The cock crows. It's morning. You wake up. You're very close to Tuvold, the capital city of Aelia. You're nearby. You've been here for several weeks. You're staying in the cottage of Igern Atticus, another witch that you have met. And you wake up in the fluffy feather mattress that she has provided for the three of you to sleep in. And you all wake up right at the same time.
Oh, my head.
Oh, no.
Good morning.
Ophelia's gonna look around. What does she see?
Ophelia, the very first thing that you see is this large green blurry orb that takes up most of your field of vision, and on either side of it are two smaller black orbs that are pointed off in different directions. And then a very thin little pink blur goes blub, blub, right in front of your eyes, and Sour, your green lizard familiar, skitters down onto your shoulder. Emmett, you feel the warm weight of your familiar, a little black and white tuxedo cat named Jarvis, who has a notch in his ear because you picked him up on the streets. You feel the warm weight of him settled onto your head. Naya, outside of the cottage that you find yourself in, you hear a very impatient "ah" as Phobos, your raven, notices that you are awake now too. So you are in a little alcove off of the main room of this cottage that you're staying in. When you're not here, Igern usually uses it as like a storage space, but she can make room for guests. So when you wake up, there's a little curtain that partitions it off so that the three of you can have some privacy while you're sleeping. You don't really see anything. It's like a nice place to sleep. It's quiet, cool, and dark. You smell baking, and you can hear Igern bustling around in the kitchen.
Hi.
Are you okay?
Are you okay? That was terrible.
What was...
No, I had a nightmare. Sorry.
Oh.
Wait, you had a nightmare too?
Did you all have a nightmare?
Yeah, it wasn't a really great dream.
Yeah, it's not the most pleasant. I don't know. I don't like the idea of my dream, I was being sucked into a void. There was some monstrous, I don't know. It was wild.
The curtain rips open, and Igern is standing there.
Oh.
Well, girls, you're awake. Time to get moving then. It's time for chores. You see, Igern is a short, plump white woman with a moon face and rosy cheeks. She wears a regular little house dress. She's always got an apron on with handprints from the flour that she has wiped off on. She usually misses the apron. It often gets onto the dress. She's got curly, light brown hair that she keeps back in a little beaded headdress. And she just constantly gives off the warmest vibes. She is always cooking, and this is the best fed you guys have been in weeks. But she's a witch, and you have jobs to do. Up, girls, if you're up and there's time for talking, there's time for starting your morning chores.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, Igern.
Can you please describe Ofelia for us and let us know what are the chores that she starts with in the morning?
So she has just woken up, so her clothes are quite rumpled. And perhaps in the past, they had definitely seen better days. You can see that the blouse that she's wearing is definitely a little bit more silky in fabric. It used to be quite white, but now it's a little bit yellowed from the travels. She has a little yellow sort of tunic over it, ochre in shade, but it's definitely worn now. And typically when she's awake, she'll also kind of put a green overcoat in front, but she's in bed, so that's currently not on, and it's folded near the corner there. Ofelia is kind of brushing her locks very quickly, raven in color, and she quickly braids it up into a long braid for practical purposes. The last thing she puts in her hair is a golden ginkgo hairpin. She puts on these long boots that have been to the side of her bed, but as she turns around into the light, you can see her face showcases this very intelligent, bright eyes. They don't usually stay still unless she's really focusing on you, but they're constantly in motion, looking at places, and you get the sense that when she looks at something, she's really trying to figure it out. Pale face, dark eyes. There's still a little bit of some eye bags under her eyes these days. She's definitely slept well in the last few days that she's been here with Igern, but the rest has been quite rough, and so she's still recovering physically from the fatigue. She is gonna go make tea for everyone.
How about Naya? Can you describe Naya for us? And then can you tell me what is the chore that Naya usually attends to first?
So Naya's medium build, dark skin, black hair, locked so that it's easy to take care of, usually kept in a ponytail. She tends to dress like a person who hangs out in the wilderness, but it's kind of patchy in different styles. Some of it's part leather, some of it's also part animal skins. It's not clear if she necessarily has fashion taste, because it's really about functionality and form. The place that she's coming from tends to have people coming from all over, so it's really not clear what part of the continent she's from, because she's just wearing an amalgamation of leather skins and belts and buckles to keep everything connected. It's very simple at the same time, something that is able to be easily put on and easily taken off. She has kind of a stern face, but very friendly kind of atmosphere that she has with herself. And because she is more so used to being like outside and moving, the first chore that she will do, it will be outside. Probably if there are animals that need to be looked after, that's the thing that she'll immediately do. And it'll be a warm welcome considering the nightmare that she just had.
So Ofelia heads to the kitchen to get the tea brewing, and Naya steps outside to go feed the chickens and the goats. Emmett, can you please describe yourself for us and let us know what chore it is that Emmett does?
Emmett has short, loose curls. She is kind of androgynous looking because, like, she doesn't care. She's got, like, kind of like tan, darkish tan skin, and she is 12. She's a little kid. She is very scrawny. Usually wears all the layers because she has to stay really warm at night. She hasn't really had a stable home. So Emmett kind of has like this like long brown kind of dirty frayed coat that she's always wearing. She's always wearing it. She got it in the town that she grew up in, that she has never left before all this stuff started happening. She yoinked it off of some guy who was going to the college in that town, and she decided, hey, this is my coat. It's so warm all the time. And so under that, she's wearing like a billion other layers too. It's like her like main outfit that she wears because she doesn't have any other clothes. She also has this really like, it's almost more well kept than the rest of her clothes, this teal blue scarf that she's wearing. It's kind of striped, but like not in any other color. It's just all blue, all shades of blue. And it is really important to her because it was given to her by her mentor, Castor, who was also an orphan but was quite a few years older than her and basically raised her. It's the one thing of hers that was given to her, like deliberately given to her, out of care, and so she never wants to take it off. Even in her most comfy state right now, even though she just had a nightmare, she's in bed, she still doesn't look very, like, put together.
She's a little ragamuffin.
Yeah, she's a little ragamuffin, exactly.
No.
And so she gets up. The chore that she's gonna do is she's gonna try and help clean a little bit, like maybe do some sweeping, just whatever Igern needs her to do.
Well, yeah, sweeping is one of the normal morning chores. Typically, Igern will have you tidy, and then she has been putting you to your lessons learning how to read as well. So she has a spell book that you have been going through, and she has been helping you learn to sound out words in common and how to read. I think you got a little bit of that while the three of you were with Uneza at Claw Tip, but Igern has it in her mind that this child will learn how to read, and so you know that that is waiting for you.
Emmett actually is pretty fond of Igern because she's such a cheery demeanor that she's not used to. And so she is kind of looking forward to the whole reading thing because she doesn't feel insulted or anything whenever she gets something wrong, and she likes the feeling of learning and being like, oh, I was right about that. Awesome. I'm excited. So she's looking forward to that.
Amazing. So the three of you go about your morning chores. Naya, you save the most ornery chicken for last, the one that likes to fly at your face and peck at you. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Naya has any trouble wrangling this chicken.
No, not at all. In fact, she, growing up, would honestly like to chase chickens. She's ready for this. This brings her some joy.
So while Naya is out running around after the chickens, Igern, she's got a very small window close to the table where she prepares food that she just slides it open and she yells out, "Breakfast is ready," and shuts it when the tea is prepared as well. And she brings the three of you to the table and you sit down. She pulls out a porridge that she's made for you that's sweetened with a little bit of honey and has cinnamon and raisins in it. And she's also made little biscuits to go with it and some jam for each of you to have with your breakfast. Igern likes to have all of you sit down with each other and eat with each other. And this is when she uses her opportunity to talk to you about the nature of magic, because Igern is a Coven of the Heart Witch. She's one of the last Coven of the Heart Witches since the cleansing, and she was formerly a keeper of the shrine in Tuvold. But Tuvold is under the control of the Church of Tyos, and they have control of the shrine now. The city of Tuvold is on almost a spit of land, and it's called Speartip because it's where a river comes down through the mountain and splits around the land. And where the shrine is, it used to be another mountain, and the shrine had been built into a cave. When Tuvold was built, they leveled the mountain, kept the shrine, and built a church over it. So across the banks of one of the rivers, you're tucked up into a mountain range, so you're in the foothills. And Igern has now been pushed out of the city, and she lives on the foothills of one of the mountains as it goes up into a forest. And she lives near the graveyard where the citizens of Tuvold keep their crypts. This is where they have relegated this witch to that they choose mostly to ignore. So she lives here in obscurity. She's been absolutely delighted to have some new young witches with her. But you three were smuggled here in absolute secrecy. It's not meant to be known to anybody in Tuvold that you are here. So the fact that you are a bit isolated from the town has helped, but she's been trying to teach you about the nature of magic and about how to stay hidden so that nobody can find you. So as she sits you down to the table, she starts talking to you about what your lessons are going to be about magic for the day. Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about tokens. I know each of you has one that Uneza gave you. Can you show those to me, please?
I dig the little thimble out of my little pocket and I hold it up.
Ah, yes. And so she asked, "May I?"
Yeah.
And she takes the thimble and she's, "A thimble of fear." That's very Uneza. Uneza has embedded into this gift to you a curse. Not for you, but for anyone who might attempt to harm you. At any point, if you wanted to, you could cast this spell on any you wanted to scare away from you.
Ooh.
But it's a gift that she gave you, and it's imbued with her power, and she is a witch. So long as you have this on you, she can cast magic on your behalf too. What did she give the two of you?
As Igern was speaking, Ofelia had been enjoying her porridge, and at the taste of cinnamon, she was kind of smiling softly to herself, kind of sad. But at the mention of the tokens from Uneza, Ofelia is gonna kind of rummage to one of her pockets and bring out a quill.
Oh, this is a nice one. If you wanted to use this feather, you could fly. What did she give you, Naya?
Naya immediately pulls out from basically her bra this coin that Uneza has provided for her. It has all of these unique kind of carvings, and it looks like part stone, part gold. It's unclear what the material is, and hands it over.
Igern actually looks a little sad when she sees this coin and she goes, oh, this is even without the magic, this is a mighty gift. This is a coin from before the cleansing even happened. This coin is at least 150 years old. But she did imbue into it the power to stop others from performing offensive magic against you. Now, these were all gifts that she made to show you her care. And if she were here, she would be able to fight on your behalf more effectively, because we have you learning your curse spells, yes? Your curse spells are what stop others from trying to harm you. If they offend you, you can offend them right back. And she snaps. If you were to give a gift or a token to each other, you'd be able to send your curses out on behalf of your friends just as quickly as you can on behalf of yourself. So you do have these items from Uneza, and they're mighty gifts, and you may use them if you want to use the magic she's imbued with in them. But you can also keep them as a token of her esteem for you. What we're doing today is I would like the three of you to make some tokens for each other. And I have a shopping list, so I'm going to send you across the river to Tuvold to pick up some items for me. Now, Tuvold is a city, yes, and so they see strangers in there quite frequently, but you must be careful while you are in town. Naya, I would like you to wear a cloak over your clothing. So sorry, but you don't dress like a city girl, so we don't want to draw too much attention to you. But I would like to send the three of you into town to pick up some supplies, and when you return, we'll make some tokens for each other.
Cool.
Naya looks at her outfit, not really sure what a city girl looks like. She quickly looks over to Ofelia, and then she looks back at herself, and then she just kind of nods silently as if she understood something that I don't think she really truly understands just yet.
Did Ofelia catch that glance?
Did Ofelia catch that glance? Were you trying to be subtle, Naya?
Oh, not at all. She's trying to piece together something. She's trying to understand more than she can glean right now.
I think Ofelia catches that glance and says, "It means no offense, Naya. I think Igern is just trying to,
Oh, no offense to you. I just don't want you to deal with any trouble. And your clothes set you apart from the people in town. So you can borrow my cloak.
I would love that. She's never had a cloak before.
It's frilly. It's got like a frilly hood. She keeps it by the door on our hanging rack. It's like a pale lavender color with lace around the collar. And she looks super cute in it. With you, Igern's very short. She's not much taller than Emmett because you're a little bit taller. And because this is also mismatched with your clothes, how do you feel wearing that?
Naya doesn't feel any different than normal, actually. She's probably like really looking at the frills, like she hasn't seen this type of design before. And so she does a little kind of twirl and she's kind of like, huh.
Ofelia feels kind of offended actually by this fashion sense. Does she have any extra cloaks? Does Ofelia have any?
Ophelia's got her little jacket, and I think besides the fact that your clothes look a little more rough, like worse for the wear than they have been previously, I think you look fine.
Oh no, I was wondering if I had like an extra cloak that I could give to Naya, because looking at the frills firstly offends Ofelia.
You do not.
Ophelia's just gonna sigh and does she have any money? Does Ofelia have any money that she carried?
No, none of you have any money, but Igern does, and she's going to send you off with some.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, sorry, y'all broke.
Ophelia's just gonna sigh.
Naya's going to continue to play around with these frills and try and understand their utility.
What are we getting?
She hands you a list. So there are a few shops. She has taken you into Tuvold before, but like only once or twice. But she's shown you the main streets and she's shown you the places where she goes to buy her stuff. So you're going to an apothecary to pick up some herbs. There's a little inn that has like a general store. That's where she normally picks up feed for her animals. But she also wants you to take a look for anything you might want to use to make tokens. And then I think that's all that's on your list. What she tells you is, I have business I have to attend to this morning, but the three of you have been to town before, so I want to trust you to be able to handle this business. Do you feel able?
Yeah.
She smiles at you, Emmett, but she looks to Ofelia and Naya.
Naya just nods. Just like, yeah, don't worry.
As long as we don't get, picked out for those frills, Ophelia's gonna say under her breath, we should be fine.
So the three of you head out of the cottage. This is on a hillside. There are banks essentially going up, and she's shown you a little path, a stairway that she has that takes you all the way down to a cove on the shore of the river. There's a rowboat. I don't think Igern always uses it because she doesn't have to, but there's a rowboat for the three of you to use to cross the Ocean River. The nice thing about this river, it's very wide and it's not a fast moving river, so it's easy enough to row across. And Igern lives on the eastern bank. She lives on the east side of the city, which is right where all the ports are. So there are constantly boats coming in and out, fishermen, people trading. It's very busy. And that's also where there's a ferry. So anybody attempting to get to the graveyard can go a little bit further downstream and launch over to the graveyard. So who takes the oars?
Naya's going to take the oar.
Mm-hmm.
You help Naya launch it. You grab the side and push it out into the water. Jarvis is elected to stay put. In fact, he skittered back up the stairs when you all started messing with the boat. Phobos, as he usually does, has gone to scout ahead. And Sour is where he usually is, just perched on your shoulder, Ofelia. He's enjoying the sunshine since you all are out and about. You all get into the boat and Naya starts rowing you across.
Ophelia's just gonna be sitting on the side, kind of just touching her hair and looking out over the water. And then she's gonna look over to both of her teammates and just say, "How was the tea this morning?"
Hot. It was really hot.
Thank you, Emmett. Of course it was hot. I'm thinking she wants more about the quality of the tea.
It tasted like delicious water. Hot, delicious water. I liked it.
Ophelia's gonna mentally take notes of this and kind of make calculations of the ratio of the water to the leaves now.
Naya's just laughing silently. It was fine. Yeah, this is fine.
Okay.
By the time you get halfway, the sort of morning mist that sometimes obscures the city has cleared away, and you can see the sun shining on the church at the southern end of it, at the highest point in the city. There's a gentle slope that the rest of the city is perched on that goes downhill and away to the north. The port is obviously at water level, and you can see that some of the daily work is just starting to happen over there. And as you're gazing upon this capital city, something knocks into your boat, hard enough to jostle all of you. Can you all please give me, let's say, a dex save? Low DC, but dex save.
Ooh, that's not great. That is going to be you said a dex save?
Yeah.
A 6.
I got a 24.
Great.
Jesus.
Emmett is solid. How about Naya?
But wait, since Ofelia has some boat experience, can I roll with advantage?
Yes. You know what? Yes, you grew up in a
Yes.
town full of canals. Yes, you can roll with advantage. Yeah.
Oh my god, amazing.
That's a 12 for Ofelia.
Okay.
That's a 23. Well, it's a nat 20.
Well, I'm glad you don't fall out of the boat. So first nat 20 of the game. Yeah.
Yay!
Boat save.
I think Naya just looks more annoyed than anything because, like, she's been rowing hardcore. This is her morning routine right now, her morning exercise, and she's like, "What is this?"
And I think Emmett is right dead center in the middle of the boat on the bottom, so there's just no risk. But Ofelia, you said you were sitting on the side, so you do get you get jostled.
Oh.
And as you look into the water, you got jostled over towards the downstream side.
Mm-hmm.
As you look into the water, what you see is a body. A body just ran into your boat, and it's slowly floating away past you. It looks very unusual. The skin has turned like grayish blue, and you can see just the faintest impression of the veins running through the skin, except they're like a dark charcoal color. So that body slips past and just continues floating downstream.
Male, female, young, old.
Can't tell. Small. Doesn't seem like it's a fully grown adult human.
Hey, Ophelia. What was it?
Ophelia's gonna be silent for a little bit, processing what she just saw. It was a body.
What?
It was a body.
Close to the.
But no worries. They were passed, not like struggling alive, but it was a body.
Oh, that's weird. Why?
There are no funeral rites? Bodies are to be buried. They're to be burned, not thrown in the water.
Emmett's gonna try and look over the side of the boat to try and look for it with her eyes.
Naya's immediately going to stop rowing and grab the back of Emmett's coat and just pull her. Just sit down. Emmett, sit.
I just want to see
down.
what it looked like.
Do you know how to swim?
Swim? Yeah, I can swim.
Okay, what is swimming, Emmett?
It's in the water. You swim in the water. I know how to do it.
Would you say that the thing that Ofelia saw? Would you say that that's swimming?
A body? No.
Okay, well, I'm glad that we have established that you do maybe know what swimming. Please stay seated. Okay.
Whatever.
Ophelia's gonna offhandedly just say, Naya's right, Emmett. But Ophelia's gonna still be thinking about the body. Can she see from which direction the body was floating from? You said that we were going downstream.
So you guys are going across. It came from upstream, knocked in the boat, and now it's going downstream.
Okay, and then what do I see upstream from us? Is it just ports? Or
now that Naya has stopped rowing, you've started to drift a little bit. So you're coming, you're actually reaching the lower end of the ports. So you see the cliffs that rise up and support the base of where the noble people live in the city and where the church is. But you don't see anything upstream that indicates to you what might have happened to this body. Naya, do you go back to rowing?
I go back to rowing, and I am keeping a steady gaze at Emmett. Like, Emmett, please.
I'm giving Naya a death glare.
Absolutely, and Naya's giving a death glare back. And I think now Naya's going to try and turn it into a staring competition.
Great.
As they're doing that, Ophelia's gonna say, kind of as she's processing more of the information and gauging everything, she's gonna say, it was weird. It was not the color of most corpses. It was like bluish. And it's not like she's looking for answers, but she's kind of just like saying it to the wind, but loud enough for all of you guys to hear. And then she's going to turn to the direction it came from, and she's going to say, also strange. I don't know what's over there, but...
Naya, when she says it was bluish, and you realize that it was in the water, this immediately starts to sound familiar to you. As the three of you are pulling up at the end of the docks, I think, Naya, you're starting to feel a little distracted. Maybe, Ofelia, you jump out and help tie up the boat, seeing this with Naya. But Naya, you start thinking back. You might have seen something like this, and you might have seen it right about the time that everything changed for you. You think back to the last day of the procession. Deep in the Opakti deep woods, your town, Ayadir, has a tradition. Your community will once a year pack up and move the entire village because of the way that your community tries so hard to keep itself hidden. So you actually are one of the last to move with the final few buildings that are going to walk through the forest to where your new location for the town will be. Your father has gone on ahead of you, and it's just you. It's Ixer, the wizard who's on the Council of Elder, and Aross, the druid, who also is on the Council of Elders. They're here to make sure everything is squared away before you abandon this location that you've been in for the last year. Uneza Seabright is with you, a witch of the Claw, who lives on this same peninsula that you're on, but on the very end of it at Claw Tip. She visits this town occasionally, and this is her duty since Inadri, the previous witch living in your town, passed away. 2 of the children are with you, although you're 28, so these kids are 15 and 16. They are children to you, but they are being trained in their own duties of how to wrap up and care for the town. They're 2 of the more mature children in town, and Laras and Ixer both rely upon them. And the last person accompanying you is Rusty, who he is a bard and a traveling merchant who occasionally comes through. He's the most contact that you all have with the outside world. So Uneza had all of you bundle yourselves into the longhouse that your elders use as a council meeting place. And it is a longhouse. And I think you would have stayed at the doorway to watch this, because this is when Uneza casts her kind of magic, which is so different from the magic of the druids, the magic of the wizards, the magic of your father, a warlock. You see her. She is a tall, lanky, deeply tan, older woman with wild gray hair that just flies around in the wind. She wears gray-blue robes. She looks very much like a person who is of the sea. She starts chanting softly. She is standing facing the house out on the forest floor, so she's facing you directly. But really what happens is it's almost like the air around her body becomes electrical, tingly, staticky. There's like a vibration and a buzz to it. And you can tell that she's calling something to her or through her and funneling it towards this house. And as she does, the house itself starts to shake a little bit and move, and it starts to lift up off the ground. And Bryony and Cole, the two kids, they are still young. They're leaning out the small windows to watch, and they are screaming with delight because they love this. The house itself is sprouting legs. Long, scaly, bird-like legs. 4 of them to be exact, because this is a long house, and so we gotta have some balance here. As it lifts up off the ground, you find yourselves now about 15 feet in the air inside of a house that is swaying and rocking as this thing settles onto its feet. Uneza, she makes a motion with her hand. She reaches forward. It looks like she's grabbing something, and she pulls it to herself, and suddenly she lifts off the ground flying, and she comes in towards you in the doorframe to the longhouse to join the rest of you inside of here. As she's moving towards you, I think she gives you a face that says, move.
I immediately, because I'm so lost in this part of the ritual, that this is also my favorite part. I've just learned to not scream out loud before it annoys the elders. But Naya loves looking outside as she's standing up in this moving building, but immediately is like, oh no, so sorry.
She lands in the doorframe, her cloaks settle around her. She nods to you, she nods to the other 2 elders. She completely ignores Rusty. And she goes and perches herself at the window on the side of the door just to watch as this procession happens, to make sure that this house is following the path it's meant to take, and she directs it through the woods. As the house clambers through the woods, Cole and Bryony are just absolutely so excited, chattering with each other, because it's the last day of the procession, which means it's the day of the feast. And in the back of the longhouse, Rusty and Ixer and Laras are all talking to each other, because today's the day of, it's the solstice, and there's going to be a solar eclipse. And you can hear them muttering with each other quietly about any kind of implications that this may have for your community and for magic generally, because as you know, your community is a town full of magical refugees who have fled other parts of Aelia, and their highest priority as elders of this town is to know what's going on in the other cities, which is why Rusty comes through here frequently enough and knows where your town is. But it's also why they wanted you guys to move in the first place, in case anything happens during this eclipse. So is there anything that Naya does as the house starts lumbering down this path in the woods? Laras is like kind of absent-mindedly druid crafting behind it to sort of cover your tracks. But as you go through, what does Naya like to do?
Naya likes to watch the trail of trees kind of grow and the vines kind of grow behind the house. But she's also pretty mindful of the fact that this is a place where refugees come. And so we need small ways to have people come and find us if they know what to look for, if they remember the stories that, Rusty spreads about our community throughout all of Aelia. So she spends this time doing a little bit more carving and carving little tokens and trinkets of little animals, and just kind of throws them out the back, just leaving a small little breadcrumb where only the folks who are in the know would know exactly what this means and exactly which direction to follow. But she does this while trying to get a little close to Ixer and Laras and Rusty as they talk about the solstice and eclipse. She's always wanted to be a magic user, but she's just a little normie, just a little girl in this little community. And so all she does have is her wits about her and her understanding and her love of stories, which reminds her very much of her mother. And so any type of story that she can hear or even understand makes her feel closer to her community. So she's going to try and like listen in while also not listening in, because again, she has to be respectful. She is an adult. She is nothing like Cole and Bryony, even though she absolutely is on the inside. She's just gotten better at hiding it.
I think Laras catches you, like she knows what's up, but she's an older woman and she is fine with you peeping on them. Ixer is very focused. He's talking about how,
well, we are moving the town closer to one of the older shrines, and we need to make absolutely certain it's still defunct. We can't have anything that indicates where we are, so we just need to secure the upper area of the valley and make certain it's off limits to the children.
and Laras is trying to reassure him. She's saying,
Oh, Ixer, you worry too much. That shrine has been out of use for years, and no one's been able to find it. I don't think the solstice is going to change anything about that because it's broken. You cannot use a shrine that's broken.
so they quibble with each other pretty frequently. I think as you're listening in, Yuneza has seen to this, and it is day 3 of her doing this to the buildings in your town. The woman is tired. She has had to rest every night. She slept incredibly deeply in order to be able to wake up in the morning and have the energy to do this again. So I think what she does is she comes near you as you're throwing these tokens surreptitiously out the window, and she says,
Dangerous. You don't want them to find you.
But there's so many other folks who need us. I don't know. It's just... listen, I love everyone that's around me. And I want other folks to feel that same way. Everyone should have a home. And the forest, if you're not used to being out there, it's a dangerous place. Also, we have these stories and legends. Like, it's so hard for people to find us. It's so hard.
That's on purpose, Naya. You don't want them to find you. You don't want to be found.
The procession continues. The longhouse arrives in town, and a cheer goes up when everybody else sees the longhouse. Your father is actually standing at the cliffside where it's going to perch. So the house approaches this 20-foot cliff, and it crawls its 4 legs onto the cliff and sort of kneels the doorway down and settles down. And you can feel Yuneza, whatever it was she sent to the house, now she's drawing it back. And the house settles, its feet on the ground, and in the back, the 2 legs straighten. So you're able to leave because the door is perched on the cliffside. And as you step out, you see that these scaly chicken legs of this house are starting to harden, and they start looking more like the trunks of trees. This longhouse where the elders are going to meet in this new location for your town is now about 20 feet up in the air, perched partially on the land, and you all are able to exit the building. And as you do, Laras and Ixer set the kids to start taking the stuff that's been tied down and unwrapping it and getting the entire longhouse set up. The task of the town at this point is to move everything, get yourselves settled so that you can have your feast tonight. But upon hearing that there is a shrine up the valley from where you are now.
Oh, absolutely. She is about to explore that so fast. But first, she has to figure out where that shrine even is.
So your dad greets you as you come out the door. This is one of those rare times that you and he are both awake at the same time. The procession is not your normal routine, and typically you're awake at night and he's awake during the day. He gives you a big hug. And he says, everybody make it okay?
Absolutely. I squeeze him. I love him. Hi, Papa.
Hi,
this
baby.
is so good.
And he gives you a kiss on the forehead.
And then I just kind of like move my body around. I'm very much going back to my 6-7-year-old self in that moment.
Did you see anything interesting on the way in?
Well, I mean, I really was just loving the trees that were left behind. Different types this time. We've got oak, we got maple in the back. This kind of nice.
He gives you a look and he says, "Were you dropping trinkets again?"
Look, like nobody
It's
leaves.
fine. It's fine.
Thank you. Like nobody actually ever goes and explores what's outside of the village. You don't see what I see. Like it's hard to survive in the forest.
He grabs your shoulders. He says, "Naya, you know that I know better than anyone how dangerous it is out here. We cannot bring that danger to us. Just be careful, that's all. Be careful. We don't want people to know where we've gone. That's why we move." But he cups your cheek with his hand and he gives you another little kiss on the forehead. He says, "Are you off to do patrol before the feast tonight?"
Yeah. And then she just kind of like sulks a little bit. And she puts down her little trinket bag and she's just like, fine.
He says, "All right, well, you are our protector and I love you and we're all grateful to what you do for this town. So go have fun, I guess. I know you've checked out the area before, but the river upstream, we had some reports of strange things happening. And so if you want to go take a look there, just be careful. Just go look and come back and tell us what's going on."
Absolutely. Is that like also the same general direction I heard about some
You heard of
magic?
something about maybe something else going on?
Listen, Ixer and Loras are like real loud. They're real loud.
You're right. They do not try to be quiet about it.
I was gonna say, I feel like at some point they should just go and kiss each other or something. But it's fine.
That
like,
would be
no,
something to see. That would be
something to see. But I wouldn't want to see that. Like no one wants to see that. But like it's fine.
Yes, that might be where we've had reports of strange things coming up. You just follow the river and perhaps you'll be able to find it.
Okay, well, here, and she picks up the bag of little tokens. Is like, here, you can burn these and give them to Nox as an offering to our Lord.
He starts to say something, stops himself, and he says, "Thank you, baby." He says, "I'm going to go help get the kitchen set up."
Absolutely. She grabs her quarterstaff and she's like, bye.
Bye, peace. He heads down the path away towards where everybody's gathering. Because you put your homes in the trees, but you do not generally put the kitchen in the trees. So down by the river is where they're setting up the common area. So you turn in the opposite direction and find a path that leads you uphill. And as you get uphill, the trees in this valley are tremendously tall. But as you move up, they sort of start to thin out into lower, medium density trees. And you find your way to the river, start following the path up. So what's Naya thinking about as she's going to check out this spot?
She's curious about what type of magics she would see in this area, especially considering that Ixer was just describing this, and she heard about the fact that the solstice and the solar eclipse were happening on the same day and how auspicious this time is. And while she believes in some of that, she doesn't believe in it in the ways that the elders always make it out to be, because it's always a little different. You can't ever really truly control magic. You just can only redirect it, right? So who knows what they're really going on and on about. So she's kind of just like excited to see what this could look like, but she's on alert, looking out for regular kind of creatures that you would tend to find in the forest, but not too concerned about the magics that would really come into effect here.
Roll me a perception check, please.
Oh my God, why did I say that to you?
Why did I say I did a thing?
Why did I say I did a thing?
9?
You know it.
Yep, I see that.
You know it.
You trip.
Classic Naya.
As you move deeper into the woods here and away from your village, you trip over a stone. And I think you catch yourself. You're a fairly physically capable person. But as you're looking at this thing you tripped over, you notice that it has a very unnatural shape. It's a circle. It's a completely round circle. It's broken. It's busted up, but it's almost like a little dais. And as you look closer at it, you can see that there are runes carved into it. So you think you may have located something. You don't know what a shrine is, but you have located something that stands out to you as being a bit different from where you guys normally perch.
My tripping, did that look like it caused the break in the circle, or was it actually?
Oh, no. This is old, and this circle you can tell that it's ancient. It's been here for a very long time, and it has been decaying for a moment. So the circle itself, even if it did used to be a platform, there are gaps and cracks running through it. It's been breaking down for a while. So as you're looking at this circle, you hear a splash from the river.
Naya looks down at the runes around her, and she starts to stand back up and walk over to the splashing. She's very quiet about it, though. She's not going to say anything. She's just going to start kind of creeping, stealthing over to see what she can see.
So as you approach the bank, there's like a waterfall in the distance, but it doesn't sound like it came from that far away. And as you approach the bank, you see something floating downriver. You can't quite make out the shape of it, but as it gets closer to you, it looks almost like a person bent over with bluish, grayish skin and charcoal veins running through it. This slips past you before you can even really register what it is you think you saw. But because of the current, it sort of gets pushed up against the bank. So it winds up sort of lodging itself in the sand, in the soft sand on the bank of the river, a little bit downstream from you.
Naya is immediately going to kind of start climbing over into that general direction. I think she's concerned about the fact that there is a person in the water, and she does not know how long they've been in there. And so I imagine that she's really trying to maybe resuscitate this person. So she's going to kind of go over there as quick as possible. And if she can, try and reach for it and try and pull the body on the kind of shore.
As you are reaching for the body to grab at it, what part of it do you grab?
It's kind of hunched over where like the face is down in the water. She's going to try and grab at like the back of the shirt and just pull in that way.
As you are doing so, the circle glows bright white, and there is a boom that frightens a flock of birds up out from the trees. And as you look towards the source of the sound, you look back at that body and it's gone, and it's nowhere to be seen. Then you hear screams coming back from the direction of Ayadir, coming back from the direction of your village. That was Annette Lee as Ofelia, Ashlyn Sparrow as Naya, and Tegan Mack as Emmett. Sara Brink was the game master. Story editing by Sara Brink and sound design by Timoteo Flynn Valadez. Oops All Witches is a playtest of the Witch class created for The Wizard, the Witch, and the Wild One, produced by Fortunate Horse. For more information, visit the Worlds Beyond Number Patreon. Oops All Witches is a Dancing Stickman production. If you're enjoying the podcast and you'd like to hear more nerdy content like this, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. And be sure to tell your friends. Thanks for listening.